Now, this is the point in the show where we speak to our Mayor, Peter Taylor, about all the things, the pressing issues which are on our minds. He lets us know what's coming up and how the council, Watford Council, are dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, and especially the measures that come with the easing of lockdown. So without further ado, good evening, Peter. How are you?
Good evening, Benjy. Very well. How are you doing?
Yes, not too bad, thank you. Now, let's get right down to it. Many people in the local area would have seen a protest over the weekend. It was in the national press because Anthony Joshua attended over, quite rightly, a very pressing issue, a very, very pressing issue, which emanated from the death of George Floyd in America, an unarmed black man that was killed by police officers over there. And that has sparked several protests around the UK and one in Watford. Some people may be concerned, seeing pictures and videos coming from that protest, that people weren't social distancing. How do you address that?
Yeah, I think, first of all, you're right that there's been, protests right across the world, and I'd hope that everyone in Watford is opposed to racism, discrimination, injustice, and, support the Black Lives Matter campaign, because every life matters and every person should be able to achieve their potential in life. And so I support the campaign, and, we lit up the town hall in purple, and I'm having lots of conversations with people from across the town to talk about what could we do differently, what could we do better in Watford. But at the same time, we do have, COVID, and we still have people in Watford General who've got that illness, and sadly we still see fatalities as well. So it's really important that we continue to follow the NHS advice, which is about maintaining social distancing, avoiding mass gatherings, and of course cleaning our hands frequently. So I didn't attend the march on Saturday, but I completely support the campaign. I think many people probably did the same. The march itself, the protest on Saturday, was peaceful, and that was a good thing. The police, worked really closely with the organisers to make sure that they could make their case. I know many people on the march were wearing face masks, and it was, it's passed off without incident. And so I think we need to, make sure that as much as possible we support the campaign while making sure we don't see a return, an increase in the number of people living with coronavirus.
And I'm aware that we are two white men talking about race, so I'm not going to speak beyond what I know, which is, and without having the relevant voices. But I think, going forward and with future protests, are you aware of things that are being planned, and are there ways which you think these protests could be better handled? There must always be ways that we can improve on things like this.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I'd pay tribute to the local police. I think Watford Police do a brilliant job. Over the last 2 months, they've had very trying situations, and they've responded to it, incredibly well. But you're right. There's always things we can do better. I'm not aware of any plans for any more marches or protests in Watford. As I say, I do think it's important that we all take responsibility for our own actions, and at the end of the day, the advice from the NHS is still that we need to maintain social distancing, that we need to avoid mass gatherings. It's important that everyone follows that. But I think as a politician and a leader, one of the most important things I've got to do is listen to people, and I've been listening to people from across the town telling me about how we could do things differently and do things better. So I'll continue to do that.
Well, that's quite right. And every week we recognise and admire, when you come on this show, the way the community have pulled together, and surely now has to be the best time for us Watford residents and people who work and people who come into the borough to learn and educate and talk about race, because we've pulled together, we've done the work, we are a community through a very unusual and tragic circumstance, and now we can use that to do the hard work, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Watford is a diverse town, people from loads of different backgrounds and nationalities and faiths, and we do tend to get on pretty well with one another. And so there's organisations like the Watford Interfaith Association where different, religious leaders from across the town meet frequently, talk together, organise events together, and that's really important. We've also got brilliant charities who serve those most in need. And you're right, over the last 2 months there's been a real unity in the town, a sense that we've got to help those in need, we've got to get through this together, and I think it's important now that we don't sort of divide over this issue and end up falling out with each other. I think it's important we pull together more than ever, because we've still got a long way to go, lots of businesses to support, lots of people that are in difficult circumstances, and so that'll be my focus over the next few weeks.
Now, speaking of businesses, 15th of June, it's a big date, not only because it's the first night of my Come Dine With Me series. Terrible, isn't it? Tedious he is, this man here. Talking about myself, of course. But 15th of June marks a very important date in calendars when quite a few shops will be opening. It's mainly shops, isn't it? It's not hairdressers, is that right?
That's right. So hairdressers, we don't know when they'll be opening, but the government haven't given us a date yet. But there will be lots more, they call them non-essential shops, opening on the 15th, so a week to go. I was talking to the lady who manages the Into Harlequin Shopping Centre in the centre of Watford, and I think there you'll see probably about a third of the shops opening on the 15th, a week today. And of course there's lots of work going on to make sure that people can socially distance, that they've got sanitizer, they've got marshals, they've got one-way systems and everything else, so that people can return to our shops, but can do that safely. So there's loads of work going on to support them at the moment.
And of course, people will no doubt approach with trepidation. I certainly would. I wouldn't be in a hurry on the 15th of June to run round Peacocks and pick out every outfit I can. We're used to now backing off a bit. It's going to be a hard balance because as mayor, you need us to support the economy, and you also need us to support public health, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Getting that balance is going to be critical. So we've already started doing lots of work. I was actually on Whippendale Road today, seeing lots of the businesses there. The council's worked really closely with them, marked out on the pavements where people need to queue. There's barriers that have gone up in some shops. So the shops are really, working very proactively to make sure it's safe. But it's going to look and feel a little bit different when you go to the town centre. Some changes to road layouts, for example. But I think most of us, we might do a bit of shopping online, but at the same time we do still want to go to shops and have that experience. So, there's lots of work going on so people can do that and they can return to our shops safely.
Absolutely. That's Peter Taylor there, the Watford Mayor, keeping us informed as always and helping us to understand some of the issues in Watford. And, I sometimes think just because something may not be at the top of your agenda doesn't mean it's not important for someone else. And we can all learn from everybody's issues, become closer as a community and help to keep coronavirus at bay at the same time. Anyway, coming up next, it's Tom Grennan.